The Ian Shefflin experiment is not over, but it is definitely delayed. We'll talk about it right here on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked On Clemson, part-time host and producer over on the flagship station 105.5 FM, The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen of the day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. A big salute out there to my everydayers. You know who you are. You know how we do it here on Locked On. Exclusive Clemson content Monday through Friday, every single week. And if you're new to the show, well, welcome in. Hope you enjoy the show. Hey, 75% of viewers are not yet subscribed. So what are you waiting for? Hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all the buttons, hit them so you never miss an episode. Ian Shefflin's arrest this weekend did not end his chances to play for the Clemson football team at tight end, but it definitely has delayed the experiment. And with LSU coming on fast, as you know, today is Monday, starting up this week. This is the first week of college football. As this weekend starts the first week of college football, or week 0, this delay could sting and hurt the experiment. Shefflin, former Clemson basketball player, as you know, standout, turned tight end, was arrested earlier Saturday morning on Tiger Boulevard in suspicion for a DUI. He was booked at 1:47 a.m. and released later that morning. Dabo Swinney addressed it on Sunday, expressing disappointment and confirming Shefflin will miss competition this season, more than likely, to make it clear that he will need to earn back his trust with the organization, with Dabo Swinney. This was all what we found out through TigerNet, our trusted source over there, David Hood. As you know, TigerNet's been around since 1995, and they don't just put out stuff that is not true or has not been verified. So this is the main article over on TigerNet saying that this happened. A lot of mixed reactions from the fan base. For me, I would say disappointment. You know, it was never about Ian Shefflin being tight end number 1. I didn't expect him to be tight end number 1. I told you many times I felt as if Ian Shefflin would possibly be in the rotation maybe later on in the season, or maybe a gimmicky type guy in situations where the game was not on the line. Now, my tune changed during the fall and leading into this camp, because we had heard that he was having a great fall. He was having great workouts, and he was kind of fitting in perfectly with the team. I was starting to lean more towards Clemson would actually see him and use him earlier on in the season, possibly even against LSU, if you get into a right scenario where you need a guy who's 6'7", 6'8", 6'7.5", whatever he wants to be called or measured at. When you need a big-bodied, tall basketball player, great rebounder type guy in the red zone, that would be an area to use him. Another area to use him would be in special teams and blocking field goals. So those were areas I think you could use him early on in the season and throughout the season. However, it's not so much now the case because of what's happened. And again, there's a lot of different opinions about this. Few fans out there say innocent until proven otherwise, and I understand that. What I have to go with is the news that we know, that this did happen. This was made. This is the accusation out there. This is the suspicion there. And according to Dabo Swinney, it will be handled appropriately. And I would assume that you would not see him earlier on in the season. He'd have to serve some sort of, suspension or something. And then he would have to also gain back, even if he didn't have a suspension, he'd have to gain back the trust of the coaching staff to be able to be used in that way as a starter or maybe a rotational player, because everyone has to be held to a specific standard. If you allow players to just jump around and play or have reps even without holding the standard, then that kind of breaks up your core values. So that to me, is kind of what we're looking at. Instead of seeing what we were excited to see with this experiment possibly unfolding and seeing what could happen in week 1, now we're having to put the brakes on, or at least me and my anticipation is having to put the brakes on the Ian Shefflin experiment while we wait and see what's going to happen. Again, the opportunity is not gone completely. And hopefully Shefflin will learn from this, rebound from this, with no pun intended, and be able to be a better person. And thankfully, as Dabo Swinney mentioned, no one else was hurt, because we've seen so many tragic and read so many tragic things, news articles, news postings, or even maybe you've even had it happen in your own life where someone under the influence hurt someone else. And unfortunately, from my experience in 38 years now on this earth, a lot of times the person that was under the influence walks away without a scratch, and the person that was innocent on the other side does not. And so thankfully, in this case, this scenario that happened, no one else was involved or hurt in any way. So this could be a time where it was, you know what, you got away with, well, you didn't really necessarily get away with it, but you can walk away from this and be able to learn from it instead of having a life-altering decision or result from it. Again, the opportunity, to me, I don't think is gone forever. He may have to sit and wait longer than we were hoping, longer than he was hoping, but it is definitely pushed back to later in the season, in my opinion. He's going to have to regain the fans' trust, the staff's trust, the other players' trust. And as far as the tight end room, I didn't think Shefflin was going to be in the starting rotation at all. I do feel as if Olsen Pat Henry would be your starter. Josh Sapp would be your rotational guy. And then we've heard also great things out of camp from Christian Bentancur, who is now rising up and getting some reps and scoring touchdowns in the scrimmage last week as well. So we feel as if the tight end room is pretty strong right now, with 3 rotational guys that you would trust in any given moment. And I'm also hearing some rumors that Logan Brooking has a lot of upside, and a lot of the staff are really feeling pretty high about him as well. Ian Shefflin was that wild card, or is that wild card, not a guaranteed contributor by any means, but a wild card and someone that you would have liked to have seen in those situational moments of a game, especially based on the great returns we've heard from practice. Now, this will cost Clemson in not being able to get to that experiment, but like I said, I don't think it will be detrimental or season ending for him, but he's going to have to kind of work his way back into out of the doghouse, as they say, from Dabo Swinney, and get back on his good side and build some trust again with the staff. A lot of different reactions over in the message board, some saying tough break, some saying not a tough break, bad decision. Some saying, man, this kind of killed the fun story. Some saying he was never going to play meaningful snaps anyways. A few people in there saying that they did feel as if he was going to play meaningful snaps because of his measurables and his basketball skill. So there's a lot of mixed emotions, and again, a few saying innocent until proven guilty for sure. And we'll let it, work its way out in the court system, or however it will. But one thing's for sure, the hype around Ian Shefflin for week 1 is going to have to be kind of subdued, at least for now. Hey, before we jump into the next segment, I've got something special for you Clemson fans out there. You want even more content? Well, I've got this thing that's called the Locked On Clemson Insider Program, where you can get one-on-one access through me, with me, through text message, and you can send in your questions. You can ask me things throughout the day. You can be part of conversation with Clemson, basketball, baseball, football, whatever you want to talk about. I'd love to get in. We have one-on-one communication with this text message called the Clemson Insider Program through subtext. Now, right now, you get a 14-day free trial, so you can check it out. You can text with me back and forth, and you can head over to the link in the description on this video and check it out. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about DJ Pickett and how he'll be a problem for the Clemson wide receivers right here on Locked On Clemson. When I'm on top of my hydration, I know everything works better. My energy, my mood, my focus, even my skin. But getting enough fluids every day isn't always easy. That's why I've been loving Drip Drop. Drip Drop is doctor developed, scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses a perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of the leading sports drink. I always keep a few Drip Drop packets in my flight bag or in the studio here when I'm recording Locked On Clemson, whether I'm sweating it out downstairs in my work gym, downstairs in my garage gym, or powering through a show prep here in the studio, or going on long flight cross countries. Staying hydrated is super critical for me. My go-to flavor is a traditional one of lemon. Tastes clean, tastes refreshing, not too sweet, and it hits me fast and when I need it. Drip Drop makes it easy to stay locked in even on my busiest days. Right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. So just head over to dripdrop.com and use promo code Locked On College. That's dripdrop.com, promo code Locked On College before the heat hits hard. Now, I wanted to spotlight a specific player that is on the LSU roster that I haven't had a chance to look into until now. And I'm getting ready for this game. I want to be the most informed Clemson fan out there. I want to really look at the matchups and the different players and the stars and maybe the not so talked about stars as well, to see who we need to be looking at going into this game, who we need to be concerned about the most when it comes to LSU and your opponents that you're going to be facing. And one of those guys that came up was number 3, DJ Pickett. He is a true freshman cornerback, and he has, to me, the tools that could really hurt Clemson's passing game in week 1, and he's going to get his shot. He's going to go up against a group of wide receivers that I think are one of the better wide groups in the nation, in Bryant Wesco, TJ Moore, and Tristan Smith on the outside, possibly even throw in there Cole Turner as well. Pickett is not just another recruit out there. He was, depending on where you looked at, the number 1 cornerback in the country, number 1, number 2, but he was up there, top 10 in the country. 2025, he is a true freshman, 5-star guy, 6'4". Okay, so he's not your typical cornerback who is 6 foot, 6'1", maybe 6'2" at the most. You know, Clemson likes those taller cornerbacks, but a lot of times you may get 5'11" and around 6 foot instead of 6'4". So that was a big shocker to me. Now, he has really, really good speed. So I believe that he'd be able to run with anybody out there. Do they necessarily need that speed from him against Clemson? I would say against Tristan Smith, you probably need more of the size, 6'4". Against Bryant Wesco, that's where you'd probably need more of the speed. And same goes for TJ Moore. So the fact that he has a mix of height and speed scares me for sure. It seems as if from the LSU camp, they're getting him into the rotation early, pushing him to see what he can do and see if he can fit into a key role. He could be in the second string just because of how talented he is. His frame gives him the ability to shut down some of those one-on-one opportunities or those jump balls. His wingspan is definitely there, being 6'4". The biggest question for LSU's defense is, how is their newly revamped secondary going to gel together. They have a few transfers they're throwing in. They have the freshmen, as I'm talking about, in Pickett as well. Guys that, let's see, four out of five, no, 5 out of 7 guys have not played together last season. So their secondary, while extremely talented, are not used to seeing each other across the field, may not be used to handing off or communicating as well as they would have if they've played with each other for longer. I'm not saying they can't do it, but I'm saying that might be an area of strength or an area of opportunity for Clemson, being that it is week 1, and it might be a threat for LSU because, week 1, you can't work out the kinks if you're playing a team like Clemson. This is not a warm-up game. This is one that's going to be a battle against 2 very good teams in 2025. Now, can DJ Pickett erase a top player on the receiving side of the offense? Yes, I think he's got that talent. He's obviously a 5-star guy. He's got the height and the speed to do it as well. But for me, the biggest concern, and I think LSU fans have said when I've stalked them on the message boards, is about those matchups and the physical level and ability that you can do, and then possibly even the mismatches that Clemson could force him into if they do a lot of motion or crossing routes that could confuse him as a new player. Again, he's a true freshman, so he's not going to be as experienced, be as understanding of how college offenses run. So they could lean in on that inexperience and trap him or catch him in a mismatch. You wouldn't want a 6'4" guy going up against Tyler Brown or Antonio Williams. They to me would be too shifty for him. You'd rather him be on the outside with your taller wide receivers to make it more consistent. Tristan Smith being the tallest guy, TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco both being about 6'3". He would match up vertically and lengthwise and height-wise with those guys better than a Tyler Brown or an Antonio Williams. If I was Garrett Riley, I would try to motion around some guys to maybe stress him out and get him into the wrong position. Another area where you could exploit DJ Pickett and his 5-star talent is the fact that just a few months ago, he was 175 pounds. And maybe that was even a lie too, compared to what some people are saying in the message boards. So we don't really know if he's 190 now. Now the defensive coordinator, Baker, says that he's gained 20 pounds. We'll see. I mean, 20 pounds in just a few months is doable, but is it good pounds? Is it muscle? I'm sure at a college level, an elite college level like LSU, you can put on the pounds and good weight quickly. But then how is your body going to respond to that? How is your agility going to respond to that? Your joints going to respond to that too. Bryant Wesco is built out. TJ Moore built out. Both of them have thrived in 2024 and know what they're doing and are on the same page with Cade Klubnik. Tristan Smith is new to the program, new to Cade Klubnik, but has had a ton of success at smaller schools and is looking to prove his point and has really shown what he can do all throughout spring and now into the fall. So you've got 3 wide receivers that you really trust going up against Pickett, who we don't really know his physical level, his physicality level, if you will. Now, Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator for LSU, says that he is improving in that physicality and he is getting there, but they're still working him in to the rotation this fall. For all of his upside, he is just a freshman. So to me, I want Wesco and Moore to hit him hard. I want them to really go after him, see if they get matched up with him, how physical he can bring it, and use their experience and their body control and their understanding of timing with Cade Klubnik better. Use their double moves to get him possibly, anticipating one thing and tricking him into something else, right? If Clemson's wide receivers can win in physicality and win in outsmarting him, then that 5-star talent kind of goes away. If they can just surely be more physical than him because he came in so skinny, so underweight, then that could be an advantage as well. If he's truly not physically there, then another way that you could attack him if he's on the field. Now, some people have told me over on X that they don't expect to see him a ton. I wanted to highlight him just because he was such a highly recruited guy. And according to ourlads.com, he's in the rotation in the top 3 strings. He's right now listed as 2nd string. So I assume we would see him, but I'm not the LSU expert. I'm just looking at it from an opponent's standpoint. The guy that I would attack him as well, not just with the physicality of Moore and Wesco, but if he's out on the field, I would be curious to see how Adam Randall battles up against him. Adam Randall is 6'4" as well, but Adam Randall is 240 pounds. So to me, you're winning that matchup and you're out physicaling that guy all day. I know that Adam didn't do as well on the outside wide receiver spot, but coming out and leaking out from the backfield as a running back could put Pickett at a disadvantage or at an unfavorable angle to give Adam Randall the separation he needs or the space he needs to get the ball. That's the biggest obstacle, is get Randall the ball. If you then get Randall the ball and he's matched up against Pickett, 5-star or not, if you see Randall versus number 3 on the other side, to me, that's about 50 pounds difference. And I got to think, being a man's game, football, 50 pounds is going to feel like 100 out there when you start going live reps. So I'm just curious to see how much we'll see him. I'm curious to see how Garrett Riley will attack him, if he's out there, when he's out there, or will he even just try to avoid him altogether because of how sheerly talented he is and was at the high school level. It's one of the many matchups going in leading up to the game on August 30th that I'm excited for. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think about that matchup, or if there's another matchup you'd like me to look into as well. All right, so that was on DJ Pickett. I want to get into the final segment. Ashton Hampton, we got him. We had some questions for him from the press conferences post-scrimmage, and he talked about Tom Allen and how much he's transformed the defense so far. A lot of the naysayers out there say that a defensive coordinator can't fix everything, but Ashton Hampton, starting cornerback, had some things to say. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head over to a ball game with your family or friends? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize that you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab tickets at the last minute without all the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merchandise, or even invite more people to come with you and make it a group event. Game Time makes it all possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop as you get closer to the first pitch, and they've got incredible last minute deals, clear seat views, and lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Now, you know how I am. I am definitely a last minute shopper. I don't make the decision till the very end. Both national championship games, I waited till the last minute to buy my ticket, and it cost me more because I didn't use Game Time. And then I had to go get a plane ticket, and that cost me even more. Don't make my mistake. Go to Game Time. They're the official ticketing partner of Major League Baseball, and you can find a Major League Baseball game with the Atlanta Braves or whoever your favorite team is, see exactly where you're going to sit, and get deals at the very end right up to Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so I wanted to finish up with some interesting thoughts that I had from Ashton Hampton's recent interview with the media. You know, he's going to be Clemson's starting cornerback. He's put in a ton of work and gained a lot of trust and respect from his teammates and from the coaching staff. And, you know, he got a little bit of Wes Goodwin, and now he is moving into Tom Allen. So he had 1 year of Wes Goodwin, and now kind of a half a year of Tom Allen. This will be his first year under Tom Allen and that influence. And he said it's been a big difference year over year. He said the defense seems to focus on intensity and accountability. They have daily up downs to reinforce their responsibilities every day, every week. And he feels as if the entire team has bought in to what Tom Allen is doing. Now, when you're a new coach, that's one of the biggest obstacles that you have going into taking over, whether you're a new coach, a new owner, for those of you who own your own business, if you're a new manager, for those of you who have been promoted to manager, or for me, when I was promoted to management or when I was promoted to a sergeant, the biggest difference there when you get that opportunity is to have your staff, have your team, have your followers, whoever it may be, bought in fully and listening to you and taking what you say to heart and really trying to satisfy what you're looking for. You know, a lot of times it's hard to make change. People don't like change. I hear that all the time. Nobody likes change. Nobody wants everything to come in and be upended. Everybody wants it to be the way it was, because the way it was is the easy way. But as Dabo Swinney saw, and as many of you fans saw, the easy way was actually hurting Clemson. Continuing to do what they were doing was hurting Clemson nationally, individually, as players, as a unit on defense. They could not continue to stay with Wes Goodwin, and they needed a change. So they brought in Tom Allen. And the reason why I think the transition like this is so much easier is because you're not learning on the job. You're not bringing in someone to mentor, to tutor, or for Dabo to have to go in and kind of show the way. That's what I saw from Dabo and Wes Goodwin, was showing the way. Now, under Tom Allen, Dabo doesn't even need to be around. Dabo can go to Florida and be on vacation because Tom Allen is a head coach in his own right, and he can handle whatever he needs. Ashton Hampton sees his vision of getting to national championship level defense, a real vision that the team is holding each other accountable for and striving towards. Now, Tom Allen came out day one. What did you think about it? Well, I thought about it he had a fiery personality. He had a huge reputation as a motivator. And when you saw his first press conference, I think most of us felt like, wow, this is what Clemson is used to. This is what Clemson needs. This is the kind of motivation that you need in a defensive coordinator. And starters like Ashton Hampton just kind of solidify what we thought was necessary for Clemson's defense to take the next step. Now, I know a lot of people will say, especially LSU fans, will tell me Clemson's defensive coordinator does not matter. Same players, not getting any better. Well, they don't entirely have the same players. They got brand new players in the secondary. As far as the safety is concerned, they got guys that have moved up and have developed and are ready to show what they can do. They've got a new starting cornerback in Ashton Hampton, who came on halfway through the season last season. They've got a new defensive end and new linebacker in the rotation. And so there is some difference in personnel. So don't assume that Clemson's defense is exactly the same as 2024. But I know for a fact that a head coach, a defensive coordinator, a coach of that side of the ball can help a team play faster, can help a unit play smarter, can help players make fewer mistakes, can not accept declining performance. That's the kind of accountability, of culture that separates average, okay, declining teams to good, elite, excelling teams out there. Accountability is important. It matters. Ashton Hampton says that, when they make mistakes, they are forced to do those up downs, and those increasing reps make it known that even the little things are not acceptable. And again, it goes back to the little things. When you get into the most stressful situations, this is what they told me in the military. When the bullets start flying, you lean and you fall back on your training and what you were allowed to do and what you were trained to do. If you're allowed to make mistakes, if you are trained to not be held accountable, then when you get into those stressful situations, you are not going to be as precise. A normal reaction to stress is rapid response in a way that you were trained and designed to do. An abnormal response would be panicking, freaking out, worrying, changing emotions, anger, just all those things that you don't want to have happen, happens if you're not accountable. And we've seen it. We knew intensity was going to increase the minute you heard of Tom Allen on the podium. And also when you heard about Ben Boulware returning to the team, becoming a player, a former player who's now a coach, a position coach at the linebacker position. You've got a guy who actually played linebacker at a high level. They got to the NFL as a linebacker that was a national champion as a linebacker. That's a local guy that cares about Clemson and is going to put his heart and soul in coaching this group of men. And so the intensity that you get from Tom Allen is further amplified with adding in the intensity from Ben Boulware. And that relentless pursuit of excellence is back for Clemson. To me, we're hearing it from the starters that it is visible. It is clear that they want to get to a national championship. They want to win the national championship, and they are buying into Tom Allen's standard. So for those out there that say a defensive coordinator doesn't matter, I would say that's an uneducated take. And you need to take a step back and think about how often things change for teams when they change coaches. And it is actually extremely often. If that wasn't the case, you'd never hear any coaches getting fired because you would just say, oh, we just need better players. Yes, you want better players, but you also need guys that can go out there and lead those men and motivate those men to reach their highest potential possible. So I like the returns we're getting from Tom Allen, from the starters on the team, and also the backups as well. It seems as if Clemson is doing all the right things in the offseason to get as ready as they can be for this matchup against LSU. It's going to be a good one. As much as I want to see Clemson have success as a graduate myself, I do admit that this is going to be a very difficult matchup to start the season, but one that I'm sure we're all excited to see. Hey, thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And hey, as always, Tiger fans, I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll see you at the top of the hill.